Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of the Rose to the Ceilings podcast. You might have heard of the movement Shop Local. It's a new response to rising costs, supply chain issues, and the growing realization that keeping money in our communities makes a real difference. And we are Canadian based, and right now,
Hmm.
that is a big conversation that Canada is having with tariffs driving up prices and big corporations swallowing up small businesses. Local entrepreneurs are fighting to stay afloat. And at the heart of this movement is women business owners. They are creating, innovating, and leading the change despite facing barriers like limited funding, higher operational costs, and less visibility. So today we're diving into why the
Hmm.
shop local movement has gained traction and what it means to us and for women entrepreneurs and how we can support Canadian women-owned businesses and shape
Hmm.
a stronger future.
Yeah, exactly like Isabella said. We are very proudly a Canadian podcast. We've touched upon this a lot. We love to bring it up, we're very proud. And we're seeing a lot of a rise of Canadian patriotism lately. I was telling Isabella, my neighbor across my street has 11 Canadian flags hanging from his house. So there's a big movement happening, right? And the movement, like Isabella mentioned, is to shop Canadian. You can go into any supermarket right now. There'll be little signs that say Canadian. You can turn on the TV. All these big companies suddenly have ads that say "proudly Canadian." You know who was ahead of the curve? Tim Hortons. Just putting it out there. But right now, we're gonna give you other companies that are also proudly Canadian. But this time with women at the leadership teams. So we're gonna be going over these brands, these companies that are either founded by women, led by women, have a lot of women in their leadership team, whatever, right? Because supporting Canadians and supporting women go hand in hand. So I'm just gonna start us off with a brand that I think a lot of you would have heard of, which is Aritzia, right? You cannot walk anywhere in Vancouver without spotting a piece of Aritzia clothing. I'm not exaggerating. If you've seen a Super Puff out, you've seen Aritzia. If you've seen that one little bodysuit every girl has, you've seen a piece of Aritzia clothing. And that's why I was so happy to hear that the Aritzia CEO is a woman. Have my closet from Aritzia. I'm glad to be supporting a woman here. Her name is Jennifer Wong. She became the CEO in 2022, but that's not the cool part. The part is she started with the company in like the 80s as an associate. Okay, she's like one of the success stories of working your way up the corporate ladder, right? She is the Canadian dream in this sense. So she started as a sales associate. She worked her way up, and basically kind of changed this company. It wasn't always this big. You couldn't always just walk around and see pieces of Aritzia, right? Number one, she spearheaded Aritzia's entry into the US market in 2007. Number two, she also led the launch of Aritzia's e-commerce platform. Those are two of the biggest markets in the world. She brought Aritzia to America. She brought Aritzia online. Okay? Well, third of all, she let the IPO to take Aritzia public in 2016. These are like three of the biggest things a company can do. And guess what? She spearheaded all of them. And the part that I think is the coolest is that she's from Vancouver. She studied at University of British Columbia. So local. She's a local girl at heart. And also just love how she embraces moving forward, right? You won't see a lot of brands that just completely embrace social media as part of the strategy, but she's been talking all the time about how their company's embracing, well, in her words, getting famous. She says getting more famous is absolutely one of our objectives, right? She loves how items trend on TikTok. She loves how the hashtags get more views. She also loves how Aritzia dupes was trending because she says that people will realize that no one can dupe Aritzia, and either way, it does better for the company. So, like, reading her accomplishments, these are just all crazy. These are things companies dream of doing, and she was ahead of all of it. So, I just think we should be very proud of our little local Vancouver success story here.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think, we walk past so many stores in a day that not often do we think about where they're from,
Mhm.
especially a giant company like Aritzia. So I think it's really great to recognize that she's right here from Vancouver.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I also went the local route. I wanted to highlight some super local businesses here in Lanley, which is where we're based. And my first one is called Chadish Canada, where Maggie and I have actually tried their food before. We really love their bannock and their jam as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were very lucky to have met them before,
Mm-hmm.
and they're founded by a woman named Sarah McCants Mural. And Ancestor Cafe in Fort Langley, they bring indigenous cuisine to the heart of Fort Langley, and the cafe offers dishes like bison Bannock's
Mm-hmm.
tacos, plant medicine lemonade, and overall just being their spot where they can connect the
Mm-hmm.
community to indigenous heritage and cuisine. So I think that is amazing that we have that right here in Langley. And I took a quote from one of her reports with BC Business, and she said, "Food is more than just something we eat. It's a way to remember who we are and where we come from. Every dish we serve carries a story, a tradition, or a connection to the land."
That is so awesome. Yeah, I still remember the food truck, the food, because it was that good. The truck was also beautiful. So I'm so glad you touched on this. If any of you guys are from the area, super highly recommend it. Um, but yeah, I love how we're kind of going with a local theme here. Because next company I have is also based in Vancouver, hometown. And it is Strawberry Milk Mob. For those of you who are a little bit more chronically online than the average person, you'll know what I'm talking about. Strawberry Milk Mob is a swimwear bikini brand, which is started by Georgia Costello. And she's known for way more than just her brand at this point because her account, which is Strawberry Milk Mob, while she posts about her brand, her company, she's so well loved. She has over, I think, 2 million followers, maybe more, just by being herself and kind of showing the process of being a business owner and just being so fun, right? She's adored. She's built this community of women who just love like this kind of swimwear. And first of all, I just think it's amazing to have more female-owned swimwear businesses because that is something that is more needed, right? That's going to solve a lot of issues that we see with a lot of bikini companies somewhere. Um, but again, she is from Vancouver. She's done a lot of pop-ups in the area. She founded this company on her own without like any like outside help. But except for the help of her two younger sisters, who go by Blueberry Milk Mom and Coconut Milk Mom. This
Aw.
company is completely female Canadian run. And it's just so fun too, because it's not just buying a swimwear. You can see the process of it getting made. You can see the CEO, the founders just literally just having fun on social media and being so down to earth. And she does her campaign shoots locally too. So you can look at some of these photos on the website and go, I've been there. That is the cool part of shopping local.
I love that transparency as well. And yeah, like what you said about a lot of bikini companies. So it's great to have some women-owned bikini companies as well. This is actually really funny because I have definitely not seen them on TikTok before. I'm not really on that much, I guess, but that side. But I have seen their store before when I was out.
Oh,
So yeah, that just occurred to me now because I remember walking into, maybe it was a mall or something, and seeing their pop up and going, "Oh wow, that is adorable!" Like I love their style, but
I'm
I had
so
no idea
jealous.
what they
I'm
were. I
so
had no idea they
jealous.
were Vancouver based.
That is so funny how I knew what it was, but I never got to go. And you went and you just did not know who they were.
I was just like, "Oh, this is fun." I did not know she was from Vancouver or the whole TikTok thing or anything like that. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, we gotta get a matching set soon.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so my next one is from Willoughby Town Center, and I went to visit very recently. They're called Wildflowers Style and Co. They're a boutique fashion store that emphasizes community. They curate their collections with clientele in mind, so they bring in different woman-owned brands and support them by
Mm.
featuring their businesses. It's mostly clothing, jewelry lines, things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they feature them in their store, and there's like this really warm sense of sisterhood when you walk in,
Oh.
that there are just all of these different women entrepreneurs coming together into one space, right? Getting rid of the idea that we have to compete and compete and compete for the customers, and just kind of having this safe, warm space where people can shop and look at different things that they need from
Mm-hmm.
many different entrepreneurs, which is why I found them really unique. And
Oh.
I took a quote from their team. They said, "When women support women, incredible things happen. Our boutique
Oh.
isn't just about clothes, it's about confidence, community, and
Mm.
celebrating every woman's unique story."
That is so beautiful. I love that quote, and I love that it calls itself a boutique. I think that's just so chic. That's so cute. It just makes you feel like welcome. You know, you're like, oh, I'm not just going to store. I'm going to see my boutique. You know, it just feels so much cuter. But yeah, these are four Canadian-owned, women-owned brands. I don't think we planned for it to be this local, but I'm glad it did. Um, but I think it's super important for us to support women entrepreneurs, especially now with the whole political scene happening, but always, right? Because when you think like kind of the entrepreneur, like when you Google entrepreneur sometimes, people talk about, so when you Google it, you'll just see a bunch of men in suits. We're changing that though. We're seeing more and more women brands become successful, more and more big brands like Aritzia, making women their CEOs because recognizing that women can do great things, like Jennifer did. Um, and we should just support women going into business, you know? Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about how women like led projects can receive less funding, how less investors are willing to put their like hope into women-led projects. But that's just kind of stupid on their end, honestly, because the more we support women, the better the world's gonna be.
For sure. It can only happen when we come together. So
Mhm.
let's start learning about where our goods come from. Let's start building that awareness in our communities when we
Mhm.
decide to shop local. So I hope that, these four stores helped a little bit and that you'll be able to find some more.
For sure. And if you have any more suggestions, let us know.